AP departments know how important suppliers are, and they know how important the supply chain is. Pressures that have sort of heightened under COVID-19, I think one of them is around cash pressure. The smaller suppliers in particular have really felt the pinch. And the second thing I think is around constrictions of supply. So it's particularly important if you've got items that are in short supply to keep your suppliers happy. And I think full automation means the fact that an invoice is into the client system within 20 minutes rather than many days with semi-automation, or many days with no automation, and has really highlighted that keep your supply chain happy and healthy. Full digital automation is so important. All AP departments and finance functions have had to try and adapt to that. We've very much moved to a 24/7 processing culture now. People working remote, and we're probably going to be going back to a sort of hybrid model where people are in the office a couple of days a week. I think one of the things people have understood is that we really need to take a look at all of the processes that we've had. And I think AP and finance have been really at the forefront in a lot of organisations about how do we do things better, how do we do things cleverer so that we can focus on value-added tasks and get rid of some of the non-value-added tasks in our processes. Yeah, there's two that I really love to talk about, two of our customers. One is Mondelez, because they went out publicly to say that how important it was to pay their suppliers on time. And I think that's a really powerful thing to do, to say, you know, we're paying this many of our suppliers on time, but we want to get to 100% on-time payment of all of our suppliers. And we're able to do that because we've got such a high level of straight-through processing. So I think setting public goals and coming out and saying that you want to really support your supply chain like that, I think that's one great thing. I think the other one that I find quite an interesting one is one of our clients called Conagra. And what they've done is they've built upon status that they're able to provide to their suppliers. We have a tool called ISS, which is Invoice Status Service. And what this means is that the suppliers can self-serve most of the main queries that you have within an AP department. But Conagra took that one step further, which was, why don't we look at this from a self-service lens? They've employed a chatbot for their suppliers. So they'd already massively reduced the query levels by using the status service. And they thought, okay, why don't we look at this from the supplier's perspective? They want to be able to ask questions from the AP team, 24/7. Why don't we invest in Q&A and look at that and try and serve more of that from a chatbot? So I think that's a really clever way of being a bit more holistic in terms of looking after your suppliers and making sure that they can get answers. Whilst the digitisation agenda has come right to the forefront, paper has almost sort of disappeared because it's become a real problem processing paper under the pandemic, and companies' budgets are stretched and a lot of companies have had financial issues. So getting your project funded and budgeted doesn't always happen, and quite a lot of projects that were mooted last year for digital transformation didn't make the cut, but they're certainly coming back in 2022 to the table for budget again, and we'll probably get through, because in the first sort of wave of the pandemic there were a lot of firefighting projects that took the budgets away from digitisation projects, and I'm talking about all digitisation projects there, not just finance ones. So I think 2022 and 2023 will be very exciting years. It's put a real focus on the importance of automation. I think there'll be a lot of funded projects in slightly easier circumstances now. I think it's two aspects for me there. One is the quality of the data and the level of the data, but also the timeliness of the data. And we touched on that a little bit before. If you think about a non-automated process, it could be north of 10 days before that invoice information is getting back into the ERP of the client. If you look at semi-automated process, that might bring that down to between 5 and 10 days. And I'm kind of quoting from industry leaders like Hackett who have these kind of stats. But if you look at full automation with an e-invoicing network like Tungsten, you're talking about sub 20 minutes. So it's not quite real time, but it's same day processing of that information. So the timeliness is important. I think the second part of it is if you're fully automated, then you're definitely pulling line level data, but it's increasingly important to pull that line level data. And sadly, one of the things that's grown under the pandemic has been fraud, and B2B invoice fraud has grown. So I think it's critically important that businesses focus on line level data. And if you're able to do full automation, that means you're getting that data in a timely manner. Firstly, finance touches, whether it's AP or AR, it touches the outside world in a way that many internal processes don't. So you've got lots of third parties affected by the process. So if you can create a fantastic, fully automated process, then you're going to have good relationships with suppliers, and you're going to be improving that. And also on the customer side, if you're doing AR, you're going to improve that. So the second part is that finance functions on AP and AR are the start of a process that have big effects downstream. Often people look at digitization and automation projects as a kind of way of automating at the front end and making savings in headcount, reducing queries and that sort of thing. And that is very, very important. But there's also some significant benefits to full automation or straight through processing at the CFO level in terms of agility of strategic decision making. It opens things up like improvements in working capital through supply chain finance and a whole bunch of other benefits that are much, much harder to do if you're not fully automated. I think that's realistic because most people's first step will be to semi-automate. So if you look at people moving away from paper and PDF into some sort of scanned function with semi-automation, then I think 65% is realistic. I think sadly, that is only a stepping stone in our minds to full automation, and you can go straight to full automation. There's no need to do that stepping stone into semi-automation. So I think if you take 65%, I think it's realistic. I think they'll be lower than that. I think it'll be maybe 15 or 20% of the companies will go to full automation. And that's where the massive benefits and savings really come. I don't think that it's totally linked, but I think the fact that we're going to a hybrid working mode again is bringing a lot of focus for businesses on making sure that their people are happy and their people are focused on value-added tasks. Work-life balance is going to be important, and within that, people want value in their work. You can wipe out a huge number of the queries that you get into an AP department by having a good self-service model. You can reduce most of the errors by using straight-through processing and full automation. Businesses that are thinking strategically around making sure that they've got happy employees as well in AP are looking at that full automation route. Wherever you think you are now, you could probably be a lot further along the road in terms of the benchmark. So don't lose any time. Make sure you build your business case. But I would say get started. The fastest way to get started in AP with an electronic invoicing network, for example, is to take a look at your supply chain as who's already automated. So doing a vendor match against, for example, the Tungsten Network will show you that 10, 20, 30% of your suppliers are already trading electronically, fully automated with somebody else. So that's a really great place to start. Look at the downstream benefits of full automation. So it's not just about getting that invoice data in, but it's about the benefits that it can bring to the wider business as well. Number one, reach out to an expert. They'll help you build your business case so that you can take that to your senior management. Look at the downstream impacts and benefits. Line up your stakeholders internally that will see benefit from AP automation. So your procurement department will be very happy with it. Your treasury department will be very happy with it. Your IT department will be very happy that you've got an expert doing it and that they're not having to do the heavy lifting there. Reach out to an expert provider and get them to show you that low-hanging fruit of your supply chain that's already trading electronically with other people on the network.